What is going on, YouTube people? Today, a couple different things to chat about. We're going to combine a couple different topics into one video. A little late to the party on these, just kind of the way the month fell and everything else going on. We have August PSA specials to take a quick look at. We have July Gemrate Data to take a quick look at. So we are going to go ahead and just merge those two into one and run through it. Some interesting stuff all around. First, let's knock out the PSA specials for the month of August. Nothing super crazy here, at least for me personally. We have an NBA special at $16 a card, 50 business day turnaround time, but a 10 card minimum. And this is where things get a little screwy for me. The pile of cards that I have been building for a submission are very mixed. They are all different sports. There's even a TCG in there. So it gets a little bit tricky for me to build a submission when they're sports specific with minimums. So I am not sure that I am going to be taking advantage of anything in August. I need a more generalized special. As we will see, August is very specialized. Next, basically the same special, but for NHL. That's one we don't typically see very often. So I am sure your hockey folk will be able to take advantage of that one. We also have a TCG non-sport special at $14 a card. That is also a 20 card minimum versus the two sports ones being 10 card minimums. These are collector club only. And then last but not least, outside of an autographed one, there is a value XL at $50 a card, $1,000 declared value, but a 15 business day turnaround time. No minimums on this one. So if you have a slightly larger card, or an XL, if you will, card to potentially send in, you could sneak it in at that $50 level. I don't think I have anything that sneaks close to that. So once again, nothing really jumping out at me in regards to PSA pricing specials for this month. I have to imagine they didn't want to go too crazy. They had their, basically, not their entire team, but a large chunk of their team at the National in Cleveland. I have to imagine that they don't want to absolutely kill them, having just done all that. There's also Fanatics Fest coming up, which they are doing next day grading at. Fanatics Fest being literally across the river from their New Jersey office. Basically what they are doing is gathering up submissions, running them across the river, and then bringing them back the next day. Pretty good deal on that. I think it's like $80 or something for next day turnaround time. Yeah, I went ahead and pulled it up here just to get the details correct. So it's end of show grading service. The drop-off window is Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. to get it back end of show. Grading and crossover is $75 per card or higher, depending on declared value. This is actually, if you're there for the whole weekend, this is actually a pretty good deal. $75. It sounds like a lot, but if you're bringing a big boy card to get that taken care of, obviously a more expensive declared value card will be a higher price, but just the idea of a $75 base value to get it back end of show, if you have something a little bit on the higher end, not a terrible deal. That's actually cheaper than what it was in Cleveland at the National, as long as you don't mind waiting the extra day or so. And once again, I think a lot of this has to do with them being able to leverage the New Jersey office, which is right there. So they don't have the extra expense of packing up a bunch of different equipment. So if you have something higher end you wanted to get reholdered or graded or whatever, not a bad way to do it. Save a ton on shipping to and fro, and also not have to worry about sweating out if it is a larger card shipping it, which is kind of nice. I really like that. Not that I have anything that qualifies, but if I had a higher value card that I wanted to get reholdered for some reason, this would be something I'd be looking at doing. So let's go ahead and switch over to Gemrate Data. July, shocking, everything just keeps on trucking. PSA 1.27 million cards, and that was with them taking a chunk of people to the National in Cleveland for a week, which I have to imagine slows down operations back at the home base. I believe they graded quite a few cards at the National in Cleveland. Very successful show for them. Their booth was 1, amazing, and 2, absolutely packed. SGC, we got a little asterisk there. Gemrate, old pal Gemrate, missed about 22,000 cards back in May and June. So a little catch up for them. So their actual monthly output is more like in the 170s. So that is slightly inflated. CGC coming in at 190,000. Now, SGC, circling back to them for a second, did not do on-site grading at the National. They did take-home submissions, and I think they did quite well with that. I had a nice little chat with Peter for a little bit on the show floor. Good catching up with him, as always. CGC, as mentioned a minute ago, 190,000 for the month. Their National booth was absolutely slammed every time I walked by it. I spoke with them on Saturday, and I believe they had basically set a record in regards to on-site grading by Friday morning. So I think they actually had an absolutely fantastic show as well. I will say, in regards to grading, for the price perspective for on-site grading, they were absolutely crushing it. It was extremely cheap to get on-site grading done at the National with them. I think it was in the $14 range if you were a member to get end-of-show grading, which is absolutely wild. Great for PC stuff. I actually saw a couple really nice PC cards floating around that people had done in their slabs. Beckett, 54,000, coming in a distant 4th on this list. Their booth, the way that I understood it from people that I spoke to, they were busy, but a lot of it was raw card reviews. That they did quite well with raw card reviews, but actually slabbing of cards was not quite as busy as it typically was. A lot of people will do the RCR for the quick flip at the National or to get a quick opinion on it, and then probably walk the card over to PSA for some bigger stuff, or potentially try to sell it, air quote, raw in the soft sleeve. But Beckett, I believe, had a pretty good show with RCRs. I am not sure about slabbing. I really don't know what the future for them holds. They are the only company down year over year fairly consistently on this, or basically flat, but rough stuff all around. Let's look at the sports really quickly. Beckett does jump up to 3rd in sports, as CGC still does continue to struggle in the sports category, but up 53% year over year for them. Beckett down 12% year over year in sports is not ideal. PSA coming in 1st, SGC 2nd, obviously, but once again, scary trends that we continue to see with Beckett as the once mighty company continues to fall. On the TCG side of things, Beckett actually up slightly, and this is really where they're at right now. Most of them, we'll kind of see it in one of these upcoming slides, a lot of what people are using them for is ultra modern TCG to chase black labels. And that's a lot of what their business is being generated from right now. If it was not for the chase for black labels on ultra modern TCG, they would be even hurting more than what they are now. SGC coming in 4th at 11K. They typically struggle in TCG, and once again, that is a little inflated. CGC clear 3rd place in TCG at 167K, up slightly month over month, up a ton year over year. And then PSA just doing their thing with nearly 500,000 TCG cards. Though one thing to note, they are down slightly year over year. Skipping ahead a few slides here, something I wanted to look at was the items graded by era. What I mentioned a couple of minutes ago with Beckett in regards to people chasing black labels on ultra modern TCG. Their market share of their TCG per month, 70% of it is ultra modern, which is way higher than everybody else's. PSA is at 60%, SGC is way down at 35%, CGC is kind of in the middle at 55%, but Beckett right there at 70%. Everyone's chasing the black labels. Sports, everyone else is pretty much about standard across the board. The other thing that I wanted to note, Gemrate by era. This is something that over the past couple of months has been shifting. A couple commenters have pointed it out to me. CGC Sports up to almost 52%. If you go back at the beginning of the year, they were consistently way lower than everybody else. Now they are right in line. PSA on Ultra Modern coming in at about 54% gem rate. Beckett coming in at about 52% gem rate. SGC even up to 45% gem rate, slightly lower than everybody else, but some of that probably has to do with the 9.5. And then CGC, they also have a 9.5 coming in at just under 52%, but this was much, much lower not too terribly long ago. So did something change on their end where they took a second glance at how they are grading Ultra Modern, or are they just getting better cards in? Could be a little bit of column A, could be a little bit of column B. A lot of the speculation was maybe a lot of people are just using them for PC stuff and they don't necessarily care what it grades. And maybe that was hurting their gem rate percentage a little bit, but it has ticked up considerably over the last few months. Last thing to look at here, the emergent graders. We have Tag, we have Arena Club, and we had HGA. Rest in peace, HGA, for the time being. We will see if they come back or not. Arena Club, their booth was also packed at the National. They did 13K. They usually run some fairly aggressive pricing around the National, so I'm not surprised to see that spike up. I continue to really not see their slabs in the wild. I think they are literally just a grading repack company at this point. So I don't pay them a ton of mind. It just feels like a bulk of the cards that they end up grading just sit on their website to get recycled in and out of various different repacks, because I do not see them on show floors at all. I think I saw maybe one Arena Club slab the entire show at the National. Tag, their booth, much smaller footprint it seemed this year compared to most. They were kind of tucked away, way in the back. They were not super busy when I headed by. A lot of people were doing the custom cards. I didn't see a lot of things happening beyond that. They threw up 22,000, a little bit of a drop off from the previous month, but once again, a large percentage of this continues to be Pokemon. We have 17,000 of the 22,000 in Pokemon. So very similar to what CGC has been doing. They're rolling out a niche in Pokemon, whether it's for repacks or whatnot sellers or whatever. But the sports side of things continues to not be too spectacular in regards to output. Now, they can only grade what they get, but definitely seems like they are turning into a TCG shop. In regards to tag slabs on the show floor at the National, there was one booth that I saw that had almost exclusively tag slabs. Beyond that, I don't think I saw any on the show floor. I don't remember seeing any at the trade nights either. So, and that kind of checks out given their minuscule sports grading numbers that they're putting out per month. The custom cards look really cool. I did not get one done. I know a bunch of my buddies did. Flipping Steve had a few done. They did look really, really cool. They came out really, really nice. But in regards to actually grading sports cards, they do seem to be struggling getting submissions for that. TCG, getting a ton. Like I said, I still believe that that is tying back to probably just a handful of submitters that are throwing a ton of Pokemon at them for either repacks or flipping it on a whatnot or TikTok or something like that. So that is where we currently sit in regards to the world of grading. We got some PSA specials, we got some fresh gem rate numbers, and the machine that is grading continues to march on as slabs continue to be cranked out of all these companies at record paces. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Catch you on the next one. Peace.